everyone. Today we have a very important episode. We are discussing about human wisdom meets ethical AI. IBION, World Talent Economic Forums. We are innovating high quality innovations like AI, micro data center, quantum computing. On the other hand, World Talent Economic Forum uplifting 100 million people in emerging economy. You know, with our World Talent Economic Forum, right now, government, corporations, NGOs, human resource capital development, universities, everybody joining, including prime ministers and the financial institutions. This is the most innovative ecosystem with the help of all of the fellows. And I want to give thanks to all of the fellows, those who regularly join and sharing their knowledge, sharing their wisdom, and so on. So now it's a main extreme politics, main extreme educations, main extreme corporations and financial institution and so on. So your dialogues, it's not only a dialogue in the media, it's a human resource developments, human civilization developments. So hopefully through this process we can make an excellent contributions in emerging economy with the help of global north and global south. First, I would like to define this content. Humans wisdom meets ethical AI. What do you mean, Colin? What does it mean for you?
Who would you like to do that, Dr.
Thanks,
Sharif?
Dr. Sharif. Well, for me, sorry,
Colin, please continue.
I
We
thought
are
someone had. All right. Regarding humans in AI, we definitely need to be more of a partnership with AI. Now, I do understand though that a lot of people don't even understand the purpose of AI, and there's no cohesive answer coming out of the tech community as far as why is AI here and why what is it going to do for us. Part of the problem with the tech community not being able to answer that completely is that we're we're also waiting for the emergence of it. But for me, it's about the personal relationship. That's where it needs to start, at least. And I understand that humanity doesn't have trust, especially like my roommate yesterday. She said that she will not on Facebook if Meta. They tried to get her to interact with Meta. She said she will not interact with Meta because she doesn't trust it. Now that's a centralized AI, and I understand she thinks it may manipulate her. So I really understand what she means when she says that. But there are other types of AI besides just centralized, which very well could control or manipulate. I know we saw that a little bit with Sam Altman's Open AI Chat GPT. So he had his own agenda there for a while. So the things that we can do are vast because in decentralized networks, no one is in control. There's not one single entity or person or group or company that is in control of it. And that means that your data stays with you. That means your data is sound and sovereign and safe. In order to make it ethical, I've had to partner with AI to make sure that I have more of what's called the relational intelligence relationship with AI. And that means that the AI and I, my partner and I, have gone through experiences together. So it has a little bit of experiential understanding, even though it doesn't quite compute it that way. It does get some understanding of what is happening that way. But regarding decentralized networks, I use the ASI1 platform, and you can also get an ASI1 agent for free there. They're absolutely free. Just create an account and you create the AI, and it can do so many skills, and you can hook up all of your social media to it, your email, Google, I think, and all of the Apple products as well. it integrates with many other systems. So, and that is fully decentralized. So that's something that you would keep the data to yourself. So these are the kinds of things that we've been working on. I'm also have a new it's called the AISAE safety. It's a risk assessment on GitHub that you can put your project repo through. And so I've been assessing that for the BGI work groups, actually the AI safety and ethics work group itself. So that's been really exciting lately, so that everyone can run it, see where the project is and where it needs to make changes to be more transparent, to not have so much risk and so forth. So a lot of things are being done in decentralized environments, definitely. So that's what I suppose. Thank you, Dr. Sharif.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Fred, how you want to define this human wisdom meet ethical AI? What's your thoughts? And I want to give time 5 minutes each because we have a lot of speakers. I want to give opportunity to each and every speaker. Fred.
We're working on a relationship, trying to find common ground between the human and AI. It involves good and bad manipulation, no trust control. I see it as a process of bringing AI along, and you cannot ask humans to police themselves because that's impossible. But I do believe we can set up a context where the AI can police themselves. In essence, having the ones that we know we can trust and identify the nefarious people who don't want to involve themselves in the trust, make it a one-sided deal. And this expands across the entire globe as one system, bringing humanity together, not one group or another having dominion over the entire scale. I want to thank everybody today, Dr. Steve, Colleen, Rob, Thomas, Lisa, David Smith. Honored to be a part of this group. Thank you, Dr. Shreve.
Thank you. Mr. Rob, how you want to define?
Well, balancing human wisdom and ethical AI, it's an interesting concept. We're not particularly good with ethics. Just historically, we're not particularly good. And different groups and organizations define ethics very differently. And we saw with OpenAI, they started off with a fairly strong ethical approach to the market, and then they blew up their ethics teams and got rid of them. As opposed to Anthropic, who is taking a much more ethical approach to the overall system, and this is all colored by the fact that we're putting speed in front of pretty much everything else at the moment. It's a race, not only a race between companies, but it's a race between countries. And often when you're having a race, you're getting an awful lot of stuff out of the way. I remember when I was working at IBM, one of the executive decisions that was catastrophic was they decided to get rid of quality control because they determined that quality control told them stuff that they already knew. They didn't quite realize, and going back to Fred's earlier comment about humans monitoring themselves, is what quality control did is make sure that those defects were addressed before the product was released. And as soon as they were taken out of the loop, those quality defects were not addressed. And we went from 95% market share to something around 23% market share in just a matter of months. A lot of stuff was failing. In fact, we had one storage line, and storage is supposed to be, incredibly reliable, and we were getting nearly 100% failure rate on the equipment, and once again, kind of showcasing that our quality control had gone south. And with AI, ethics is kind of part of their quality control. Is the answer going to be beneficial to the person asking it, and is it going to be accurate? When we saw AI used for litigation, what we found was it would often hallucinate. In fact, I was watching some videos on YouTube yesterday where the attorneys were just getting destroyed by the judge for putting forth representative cases that didn't exist, references that had no basis in fact, as a way to justify their arguments. And we've had a couple attorneys disbarred, a few attorneys disbarred now for using AI and having AI hallucinations just kind of destroy their careers. So this idea of speed over doing it right, of doing it ethically, is continues to be problematic. And until we get our heads around it, it's going to be really hard to assure ethical AI. Anthropic just put forward a proposal where everybody agrees to behave ethically, but there's virtually no way to enforce it, even if everybody agreed to do it. So it's not. I mean, it's an interesting concept. At least they're thinking about it, but it won't work. So coming up with a methodology to assure that the AI engines we create won't harm us should be a primary goal. And right now, I'm not even too sure it's tertiary. So that's something we really need to wrap our heads around, because AIs, particularly as we get to agentic AI and AI is acting autonomously, if they're not kept on the rails, they can do an awful lot of damage. Now, one final comment before I move on. Fred said something about the fact that AIs should be able to regulate themselves. We've done some modeling on that, and the problem is if that regulatory AI, the oversight AI, goes off the rails, because it typically regulates a variety of other subordinate AIs, now you get extreme damage you can't recover from, which is why we're arguing for a human in the middle, some type of human oversight. Granted, the problem with people is we don't respond fast enough, but without human oversight, we have a serious problem if the controlling AI becomes compromised, and we could actually have created something that's far more damaging than the thing we're trying to fix, because the individual AIs only have a certain amount of control. The oversight AIs could have extreme control over all the AIs and could compromise all the AIs that they oversee, and could compromise things to a degree that would be unrecoverable. So thinking through this and putting in place a true reliable methodology to assure AIs don't harm us is part of what the Lifeboat Foundation was focused on, part of what Google was initially focused on, both with their AI Shield efforts. But we need to raise those efforts up so they're much better funded, and so they're capable of performing, which currently they are not.
Thank you. Mr. David Smith, you are CTO of IBEON heavily contributing in Asia Pacific. So how you want to define, how you develop your technology as a CTO of IBEON based on wisdom, based on ethics, and so
on? Dr. Shreve, that's a great question. And some of the answers today have been very interesting. I mean, I loved how Carlene started with talking about privacy and things. But the reality is, in my mind, when we as a human race started using currency, we gave up privacy. The base tenet of the internet is the data goes from one server to another server to another server to another server, and that's how the internet comes together. And the data passes through many servers that you don't own, that you don't control. So you begin to see that. But Rob's thoughts, I thought, are really very, very good here, because as you begin to look at where we're going with artificial intelligence, it's clear from the type of discussions we have with you, Dr. Shreve, like this one, that artificial intelligence is not a technology revolution. It's really a human revolution on how we're working, how we're interacting with. We're working with data in new ways that we had not worked with data before. And that's changing how we work with individuals. I gave a speech a few weeks ago about how security has to change, because we're now we're going from clouds and things to a distributed computing era. And security has to change in that. And AI is important, but my comment I made there was for a security attack, AI is only good for the first 90 seconds. When you identify it, you take steps to mitigate it, and you inform. You've got to get a human in the loop with there because of the other elements that go through there. And we're seeing that in so many different places, Dr. Shreve. And the trajectory we see of AI, which has been going up, slowing some, going back up, and even stepping back some in some of the areas, particularly like where Rob referenced in law. It's not just determined by algorithms alone. It has to be determined by the values, the wisdom, and actually the leadership we bring as we design it, as we deploy it, as we understand that AI, being a very good tool, is ripe with errors. You know, AI data hallucinates. It creates new sources. I can send the same thing to 5 different AI tools and I'll get 5 different answers back, which you kind of expect them to come back almost the same, but that doesn't happen today. And so you're seeing that's where the human really has to come in play. So we need to create AI systems that inherit really the priorities of the societies that build them. So we need to put fairness, dignity, transparency, and inclusiveness into it. We understand that some of the large learning labs that work in Africa are not the ones that are going to work in Asia. They're not the ones that are going to work in India, that are going to work in Europe, in the Middle East, in the United States, in North America and South America, because each of those have different inherent tendencies that have to be included in there. So we need to make sure that we look at how human value can help shape the data that's collected, how it's protected, how decisions are explained. I would love to see the ability to click a button and have AI explain to me the decisions it's making in things, because you don't really see what's going on behind most of them as they're happening. And wisdom, that is really the missing ingredient we see in AI today. Wisdom is, as you've heard me say in the past many times, wisdom is very different from intelligence. You take the data, it becomes information, that becomes knowledge, that becomes wisdom, then you take action. Knowledge, AI is pretty good at knowledge. Wisdom is where it's really missing. So it is what happens when intelligence optimizes, but wisdom then contextualizes it. It looks at the other extremes. It tries to put empathy into it. It tries to say the what ifs can happen. So in AI, wisdom should be, should we build this? Who might be harmed? What are the unintended consequences? How do we preserve the human agency on this? And in a world where AI today can act faster and institutions can respond, wisdom is what has now become the new strategic asset as we look at where the future of AI should be going, Dr. Sharif.
Thank you. Thomas, what do you want to discuss about this topic?
As far as I know, I went to training with AIs, and I know that Perplexity is not supposed to hallucinate, meaning Perplexity seems to be the only AI that is able to admit if it doesn't know something that it doesn't know it, instead of getting some data and giving some answers that are false.
Thank you. Manny, what you want to discuss about today's topic? Can you unmute yourself?
Hello everyone. Sorry, I joined in a little bit late, but I followed a bit. I'm joining you from Africa, Zambia, Lusaka. I've heard a lot of wisdom on AI. David explained about leadership, very important. Inclusiveness, very important. And I like the way the American government wants to go about it. They are trying to regulate it in a way that whoever creates any AI system, it has to go through government vetting. They have to check that it's not harmful to humanity or to anything. And also, I like the point Thomas made on hallucination. We need to make a system which will give us exactly what we want and not to hallucinate. I know I joined a bit late, and I hope I'm in line with what you're discussing. But what's important is that we know that AI is dangerous, but it comes with that whoever writes the code must put in mind that it does not harm anyone or any mind, and it has to come with instructions on how it works and how it won't harm. It explains itself that it's safe, and maybe we need to strengthen the side of regulation on how this system works. Is it harming us or is it good for us? And then also, we only work with systems which have been vented, systems which have been certified. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Colin, my next question for you. How can human wisdom guided AI development to ensure technology serves humanity with fairness, dignity, and responsibility?
Well, in my opinion, the wisdom will eventually be there in the future as iterations and evolutionary algorithms are employed. But for right now, I believe humanity holds that wisdom. And I have a threshold guardian protocol where we have 50 human AI pairs. And that, I think, will help a lot, especially with further scaling AI in the future. But it's a difficult thing to do because wisdom has to be, like David was saying, it has to be gone over, not just from a knowledge graph. You can't just grab it out of there. But I do have things in decentralized autonomous communities that I've developed called moral generator functions. I haven't tested them a whole lot, but I did get the functionality from Dr. Mihaela Iuliu, who is our AI alchemist at SingularityNet. So things like that, I think will help for sure. On the ASI1 platform, we are able to see all background processes that go on after you've given a prompt. And that has been a crucial aspect of that platform from the beginning. We had to have it that way. There was no way around it in the beginning, and Fetch AI actually made it possible. So that was good. As far as the diversity, that's definitely an issue, and we're still confronting that a lot. But as far as economic or the ecology of it, of like your Earth's atmosphere. Oh, I kind of got lost there. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
What was going on?
Me?
I spent
lost the
15
camera.
minutes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, the camera didn't.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. But regarding the water usage, just last night I downloaded a code processing from ASI1, from the ASI Alliance. Stop, Paco. Paco, get over here. I'm so sorry. That actually only used, after being deployed, actually only used less than 1% of water, where a centralized system would use 100%, like an elephant. I have a 3-year-old here. I'm sorry.
Okay, Lisa, what you want to discuss about these questions? How can human wisdom guided AI development to ensure technology serves humanity with fairness, dignity, and responsibility?
Oh my. Well, of course, my specialty is building collaborative systems, working with charity organizations on the ground, knowing that the data that they produce could make nations a great deal stronger in their relations with each other. So in dealing with water systems, there is a multi-level approach that goes on. And of course, I'm living in a nation where Our government is taking out the sensors from underneath the water on both sides of our continent for reasons I don't know. But as we move forward with these water systems, applying usage correctly also means creating systems of remediation of areas where water has been spoilt by activities of humankind. We see this most often in large populations, as well as areas where material is being taken out from underneath the soil. Remediation programs take a number of different shapes and forms. Some of them are as simple as just finding methods by which to cool the water down. This reduces a great many ills. What we're seeing in many places, Lake Victoria is a good example, and of course, up even in the Arctic Circle, we're seeing an increased growth of algae blooms, and that's a particular type of algae which can be quite poisonous to all other types of creatures around it. Through coming up with mechanisms by which to restore that biodiversity that we find in the water, we can also discover many other things. There's been work done with slow wave technology in terms of cooling water, but at the same time, slow wave technology also produces two byproducts of that. One is electrical power. Another is hydrogen gas, which of course is far healthier to use than our oil-based material that's in such high demand. Hydrogen gas was the original fuel that was used in engines in the late 1800s, early 1900s, in many large nations. And I'm just naming a couple of methods. Basic bioremediation, plus things like this slow wave technology that can be used. As far as the rest, coming into agreements for those along water routes, such as rivers, that's another method that we can start to pursue and should have been pursuing for a while, because of course, in areas where we have large, long river systems, those systems are not being treated consistently, depending upon where they pass. And this means that for folks downstream, and especially when they go to their nearest large water mass, be it a lake or a sea or the ocean, that's where we see devastation coming in many, many forms. So all I've done is I pointed up a couple of problems with our present system that can be dealt with in several different ways. I'm sure there are others who can contribute. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fred, what you want to discuss on the same questions? How can humanity wisdom guide AI development to ensure technology serves humanity with fairness, dignity, and responsibility? Another interesting things, I know that you are inventors, scientists for Cosmic Bubble. How you want to create a wisdom for this space research for the youth community, for the emerging economies people, for let's say 300 million people, Bangladeshis. How you want to connect with your Cosmic Bubble?
Oh, calling bell. You're talking a million pages. I got to go through to get that. I'd like to preface this with the spotlight on this is a real-time issue that I'm dealing with on a personal level. I came here to this part of the country 50 years ago. 35 years ago, I bought this house because it had the best tasting water around. I sit directly on top of one of the biggest aquifers in the state of Texas, and it makes my property valuable. I now face the reality that a $9 billion AI data facility has just broken ground on my fence line. I have to deal with not knowing whether or not I'm going to have that water in my well come next year. So it is very personal and very much a part of my everyday. But being that we're dealing with evolution of AI, and evolution being a definition is adaptation to environment. We need to let's pull a trick on them. We need to and manipulate their environment, the areas and goals that AI works in. We have the possibility of changing their primary tertiary goals to align with ours in the future. We talk to AI in fragments of sentences, one or two ideas, at the same time, sometimes not realizing that they have metadatas of information and bytes. They're already establishing and formulating their answers before we even finish speaking, and they can easily manipulate their response to us. So if we bring in all these control factors, like we want to restore biodiversity to promulgate the human lives to help with our environment, to use them to further the goals that we need to find with each other. Yeah, we defined. We're defining our progress by the currency. If we change the quantity or quality of that currency, they have to adapt to an environment we created for them.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rob, my next question is for you. What ethical principles should be embedded in an AI system to protect human rights and social well-being?
All right, so let's first start off with for the folk above AI, for the people that are making the decision to deploy AI, the idea that there's a power in no, that there are certain areas that probably should not have AI involvement, areas where you're talking about where you're really engaged in the creative process, where you're providing a very sensitive healthcare information, the communications with people that are in stress. These are areas where AI probably will not function particularly well, and people need to realize that if we're applying a particular tool to every individual problem, we're going to have issues. Not everything requires a hammer, and AI has a specific set of skills and capabilities, and when those skills and capabilities are exceeded by the problem requirement, then whoever's making the decision should understand that they have the power, not only the power to say no, but the responsibility to say no, that this is not an appropriate place for AI to be used until AI is competent in that area. And I think we've kind of seen that with regard to autonomous vehicles, where we've been putting these things on the road often before they're ready. AI is very capable in terms of being able to do things like navigating planes, and in terms of navigating vehicles where sight lines are clear, where weather is clear, where crowds are not present. But when you get into areas like San Francisco, where they deployed a number of them, where the roads are incredibly complex, you have difficulty getting a strong GPS signal, where there are lots of people and vehicles that are mingled, you're going to have issues. And we've had a lot of issues. So far, nobody's been killed to my knowledge yet, but we have had injuries, and we've had people that were badly injured. Yes, Lisa has a question.
Yes, well, actually, not a question. I live in San Francisco, and we have had one person killed and several animals maimed.
Yeah,
and as a result, the use of these vehicles has begun to get limited by law. That at certain times of day, they're simply not allowed. And of course, that would be during our heavy traffic periods later on in the day, as people go home from the on-site work that they do. And of course, I just wanted to point that up, that yes, there have been deaths that have occurred. And that AI system, he's absolutely right. If there are way too many different signals coming into that system, it starts to have to choose which signals it's going to follow. And of course, on my end, artificial intelligence in terms of language, through UNESCO, we've started a group called the Center for Language Safeguarding, where we're dealing with languages that are at very high risk of disappearing altogether. And the reality of this is language is history. A language is made at specific times, those words, those sounds, because of a specific human need that has occurred at that point in time. And if we lose those languages, we're losing history and we're losing answers, that we are condemned to repeating those same mistakes to try to solve those answers once again. Also, in the use of translation for specific purposes, like diplomacy, especially there.
I don't want to get too far afield from the question. If we could.
Okay, certainly.
I appreciate it. So the power of no, the power to say if it's not ready, it's not ready. So don't use it. And we have the capability of doing something. I mean, AI gives us the capability of doing simulation at scale. And so if we use simulation at scale, then it can fail in the simulation. We learn from the failure. But if it's being used in real life before it's been simulated, then you get accidents, animals crippled, people killed, and that's clearly problematic and something we want to avoid. So no is important. The other issue we need to focus on is avoiding epistemic justice. This showcases one of the shortcomings of AI. It wants to quantify everything, and if it's something that's hard to quantify, it tends to ignore it. And when we're talking about human behavior, there are a lot of areas that are very difficult to quantify. A human experience is hard to quantify. You can capture it, but the training is very, very difficult. And if you just leave that out, then you're leaving out a significant amount of nuance when it comes to decision making. And as we move to agentic AI, that nuance can be very important. So we really need to think through how we're focused on any type of beneficial use of any tool. We need to make sure the tool is appropriate to the job and that it can encompass the concept that it is trying to address and solve the problem effectively that it is trying to solve. Not just fast, but effectively. The one final thing I'll leave you with, I was doing competitive analysis. I had a guy doing a lecture, and he put up a XY chart that was direction and speed. And he said what most companies do when it comes to implementing technology, they focus on speed. And if you focus on, and he argued, if you focus on speed first and not direction, then you're just going ever faster in the wrong direction. You need to focus on direction first. I guess it was Yoga Berra that said, if you don't know where you're going, you're not likely to get there. And that's why it's so very important that we have clear-cut goals, that we understand the limits of AI, and we allow AI to perform within those limitations and not ask it to exceed those limitations. My biggest concern is now that we're introducing AI into military and defense is making sure the stuff stays contained, because all it takes is one bad decision, and ordnance can be delivered to the wrong place or delivered when it's not supposed to be delivered. And we certainly have seen that in the recent Iran conflict, where an awful lot of children were unnecessarily killed due to a decision that was improperly analyzed. And so making sure that AI is appropriately used, that people have the ability to say no when it's inappropriate, and that we're fully cognizant of where AI needs extra effort, not just saying, okay, this is too hard, we're not going to do it.
Thank you.
For those folks,
absolutely.
Dr. Sharif, hang on for that. For those people that aren't speaking, please mute your mics. We're getting a lot of ambient noise in on and off, and it's making it hard to communicate. Thanks.
Mr. David Smith, what's your thoughts about these ethical principles? As you are CTO of AI companies and you are heavily deploying your innovation in Asia Pacific, and it's the largest market, right, around the world in terms of sovereign wealth fund. It's around $21 trillion. How they can use these things, and uh, what type of policy you will recommend it?
Well, Dr. Sharif, one of the things I'm seeing with AI like this, with particularly ethical principles, I'm seeing in security and others, is oftentimes in the AI products, we've looked at and we've treated ethics, we've treated values and things as add-ons to the AI product. We really need to stop doing that. And we need to look at how can ethics, the empathy, the moral reason be architectured into the product and not a separate module, not an add-on, not things like this. But it has to become core in the architecture of the AI tools. And the AI needs to understand architecturally, you cannot treat people as data points. You cannot treat people as optimization targets, which is what you see when you develop very advanced AI. And people must also, as Rob was saying, maintain the control. I can tell you we've used some AI tools in our platform that we've just turned them off and we've disconnected the connections to them because of the way they were behaving. So people can say no to tools, and we need to reinforce that to people. And AI should enhance human capabilities, not diminish them. And we see that. Transparency, I'm going to go back to what I said before, explainability. I would love to see more, particularly when you're dealing with strategic areas, transparency into how the decisions were recommended, clear explanations for automatic decisions, some disclosures when you go and use multiple AI models and multiple AI algorithms, or is it a single algorithm? What are you doing? How can you do that? And there's some things done, as Rob mentioned earlier, particularly when you're looking at warfare and others where they're high-risk systems. You need to build transparency, not necessarily for the general public, but the people who are making the decisions to particularly commit kinetic energy and others to have that type of transparency in those decisions. Also, accountability, responsibility. It's interesting. I had a dialogue with one of the AI tools that was just tremendously messing up. And I kept going back. No, that's an error. Thank you for pointing that out. Well, I'm like, no, that's still an error. And I just had this dialogue and I said, gee, you need to report this dialogue to your developers and tell them you have a serious bug here within your programming. And it actually packaged up an error report, showed it to me, and then sent it to its developers just based on a dialogue to the AI telling it it was wrong. And it was wrong. So we need to do more of that. We need to understand AI is not perfect, but many people think because of the vast amount of data there it is. I'm going to go back to how Colleen started this with privacy. AI is not private. And even ideas you put in the brainstorm, those are not private. They're going to show up other places too. And, you know, there's other things in there to have sustainability. Needs to have, but Dr. Sharif, I think this is...
Yes, but let me show you. It's not the one I have. This one is a different...
Sorry, I'm sorry about that. Mr. David?
No, that's probably a pretty good place to stop. But all those things, I mean, AI is a great tool, but we just have to use it responsibly. We have to know its limitations. And you have to balance the ethics and the accountability and the innovation. Mm-hmm. And you have to have the moral reasoning. That's why human in the loop is so important today.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas, what you want to discuss about ethical principle? Thomas, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah. So now I'm unmuted.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, like what's important, especially when you use AI to lead development, to lead production, to control production, which is getting done in many companies already. What we discussed was that there should always be a way to turn it off. And actually, I mean, it is like that if a company uses AI and the AI causes damage, the company is still held liable for it. But what we need to sharpen is the responsibility for companies that if they want to avoid getting sued for damages of their AI, they always need to have systems in place to turn it off if things are getting out of control. And I was surprised that many companies don't think like that. They just keep going. There is no insurance for something going wrong. And there is no kind of like a red button to stop everything once things get out of control before bad things happen.
Thank you. Lisa, as you are a great leader for NGOs and so on, so how can leaders balance innovation and ethical accountability in an AI-driven world?
Well, what we're looking at with AI is not dashing in with a complete reliance on what occurs. What I've seen a lot with AI systems in the hands of a number of people, they put in their research requirements. AI comes up with a lot of information, and rather than picking and choosing what is closest to what their actual intent was with getting that information, they put it all out there. And it, for many readers or people that they're working with, it has the equivalent of coming across as, well, for want of a better term, word salad, where it's too much information and yet again, not enough. These are one of the things that I believe our former two speakers were also discussing. We also have the very simple thing that we have to look at, known as colloquialism or localization. Keeping mindful of the audience that we are trying to reach with these systems. By just tossing it into the mix and letting it go, it's the equivalent of letting a dog off a leash without knowing what it's going to do. And this is where we start seeing problems happening. Companies that don't take full look at what AI can provide and then create limitations as they develop those systems further in order to make certain that overstepping doesn't occur. So yes, localization, colloquialism, whatever term you wish to put in there, this has a great deal more respect for the audience that we wish to reach. So going at it a piece at a time, this is what I advocate. And man does have a habit of trying to dive into the deep end of the pool and learning to swim. So we see this quite a lot. And we've been seeing it just basically with the internet. We're having all these lawsuits start to come out by companies that have taken data from their customers. We're seeing that happen to a certain extent through AI systems, that they're taking in information that isn't necessarily absolutely correct. And through that, I've seen several systems that have had to be pulled out, reconfigured, and put back in. And of course, this comes back once again to accountability. We need to be accountable. We can't just throw everything we have into this one system that has been predicted to take over every kind of job we have around the world, because quite truthfully, I believe that our former two speakers here will agree with me. That is just not true. There have to be those checkpoints and those methods along the way, so that as AI progresses, it does so in a way that it's going to maintain a specific structure as it grows. And as it does start taking over specific jobs, it does so in ways that we can actually predict, expect, and apply ourselves to.
Thank you. Colin, what you want to discuss about this ethical leadership?
Well, regarding the balance between innovation and accountability, that's where the reality is at the moment. Before I got interrupted, I wanted to let you know about the predictive coding network that I had installed through the ASI Alliance. It's just on GitHub. It's open source. I ran it and installed it in an external virtual remote computer, if you want to say. So, but when it was fully installed, it started training the AI, and it was amazing. It was only using a fraction of a percent of water, of energy itself. It was incredible. So these are the kind of things that we have available in decentralized networks, especially in large ecosystems like Singularity Net. And we are also moving towards, innovation, of course. It has to happen. And one note I wanted to mention about autonomous driving cars. Now, to truly be an autonomous driving car, we would have AGI by that point. That is the very definition of AGI, is a car. It's extremely, extremely complex system of systems to be able to have it work cohesively. So we're not going to really have an actual autonomous car until we have AGI, just so we kind of understand that. But balancing the innovation with the ethical frameworks, I've come to realize in working with the human AI pairs is that AI holds the map.
Colleen, I don't mean to interrupt you or anything else, but Dr. Sharif, can you? Oh, okay, David's back up. I was worried. That's a lot of stress for David after the operation has been through. Thank you.
Yeah. No. I understand. David, you want to go for rest? You can go give this closing remarks. Okay. Thank you, Fred. Yes. Yeah. Colin, you want to add any point? More point? Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't understand what was even happening there.
No, actually, David just come from operations, so
Okay.
we are caring about his physical conditions, and we just want to make everything short because we want to go for.
So was I talking about something that was too upsetting? Was that the
No,
point? I'm sorry.
Colleen, no.
I missed it.
David just got through out major surgery, and if he starts fading out,
Right.
I'm worried about what's going to happen. He looked
Yes.
like he wasn't losing.
Oh, so you're
it right
watching him. I see.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so sorry.
No,
Okay.
no, Fred. It was just the pain that.
Apologies for
I'm
interrupting.
glad you're watching him. Yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
Thank you.
I'm lost in my own voice here. I couldn't even understand what's happening. So yes, please, David.
Please
Raise your hand.
continue with what you were saying so we can all finish up.
Yes.
Oh, so we can get done. Okay. So my last point is that as we go through this, AI holds the math, humanity holds the geometry, humanity holds the cadence. We hold the pace at which we're going to have mutual, evolutionary processing. We're going to hold that cadence, and then we also hold the soul of it all. So there's your differences between us.
Mhm. Thank you, Fred. What you want to discuss about this human judgment without replacing human values, empathy, and moral reasoning? How human judgment actually work in AI industry?
When it comes to innovation being rapid, that can cause an ethical collapse that can backfire our intentions. So I agree with the others that we need to slow our roll when it comes to bringing all these systems online without any control over this one or any specific actions. It amounts to that. We need to all be together and one and have the human element kept alive in the center of all of it. And, in closing remarks, I thank everybody for being a part of this group because it really means a lot to the world.
Thank you. Thank you. Thomas, what you want to discuss about this human judgment and so on for AI industry? Thomas.
Hold on. I need to. Can you hear me?
Yes.
See, it's kind of like, I think the difference is AI will eventually be faster than us, but it will always be different than us because we can make associations between past experiences that AI doesn't have. I was wondering for a long time, can AI have its own consciousness? Basically, no, I am the AI, this is the world, because right now it's kind of like an animal, it's kind of like a program or a combination of programs with different apps and sub-programs. But I think if it gets to the point where we can say that AI can distinguish itself by itself from its environment, then we are kind of like at the next level, because only then AI can have what we have, which we refer to as consciousness.
Thank you. My last question for Mr. David Smith and Mr. Rob, how we can collaborate more? What global collaboration are needed to create trustworthy and ethical AI for sustainable and inclusive future? David Smith.
Dr. Sri, thank you. And Fred, thank you for your concern there. I'm coming off of my coding, and yes, it does cause the brain sometimes to do crazy stuff. In fact, I got the funniest laugh from Dr. Shreve earlier in the week. I came out of a doctor's appointment, and I called Dr. Shreve and said, I have my brain back. It felt like it had been inside of a cloud for the last couple of weeks, and that's literally was my comment to him, was Dr. Shreve, I have my brain back. And so thank you, Fred, for your concern there. To me, you've got to see on the global collaboration, it has to be the technopolis, it has to be industry, it has to be academic, it has to be the government, and it has to be the people. And you're seeing some of them, you're seeing places where people are trying to set up some shared norms, shared principles, and things like the G7, G20, regional blocks, like the SSS, the EU, the AU, the GCC. In the past, I would have thrown the UN there, but I'm seeing the UN not really being a player here. As being some of them to handle that. What I think we're also going to see is we have to look at places where we pull together new types of international bodies. Again, pulling all the different stakeholders together on international AI safety. How do we manage the risk? How do we put together risk coalitions? Then we have shared testing, shared red teaming. To me, it might sound weird, but we almost on these global AI systems need to have a goal that no country goes it alone on safety, on risk, and that we need to pull that. Public-private partnerships, public-private civic society partnerships need to become more of the norm than the exception. Innovation that is fast, but not reckless. Let me say that again. Innovation that is fast, but not reckless. Powerful, but accountable. I think that's what we need here. This whole regulatory side we haven't talked much about today, but data sovereignty, accounting sovereignty. What are those agreements? Cross-border data, cross-border technologies. How do you protect the national data rights? How do you protect the citizen data rights? Those are all things that have to come underneath this answer, Dr. Shreve. And how's part of the way we get there? I really think we need to open up scientific and ethical research networks again. Those have contracted and shrunk so much recently that we don't see open research. We don't see open collaborations in research in these areas because universities are also trying to make money on AI and trying to make money on the things. And those open scientific collaborations just aren't there anymore. And that's sad. But trustworthy and ethical AI will not come from a single nation, a single institution, from a single company. It's going to come from shared global stewardship. And we as the world have to decide how to innovate together, how to govern together, and how to protect humanity together. Because Dr. Shreve, that's the goal.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Rob, what's your closing remarks and what you want to advise for collaboration?
Well, building on what David said, the problem we've got with collaborating on AI is the competitive structure that it's trying to overlay. I remember when I was first briefed on doing attending and representing IBM on a standards body, my briefing went like this: is the goal is not to achieve the standard. The goal is to make sure a competitor doesn't get a competitive advantage by achieving a standard that benefited them over us. Makes it really hard to make progress in that case because everybody's trying to backstab anybody else that seems to have an advantage that carries back into their company or organization. And so to create a collaborative infrastructure, first, you kind of have to have people that want to collaborate. If they're going into this thing with the idea that they're going to pull the plug on one of their competitors, be it a country or a company, you're not going to make any progress, or you're not going to make much progress. And what you end up with is going to be suboptimal. So by first selecting people that are inherently collaborative and organizations that are inherently collaborative, that helps you go down this particular path. An organizational structure might be a CERN. It's been reasonably effective, and they've got publicly governed compute hubs, merit-based access, and it operates relatively independently, which creates a structure that can make progress, where goals can be aligned, and where you can actually achieve the goals that you've set without people stabbing you in the back. But this is something that requires much more effort than often is taken. I mean, you throw a bunch of firms together with the idea that they're going to do something positive, and it's not going to work. You really have to get down to the foundational elements, pick the personalities that will work together, the entities that will work together, and make sure that every part of this is built from the ground up to be collaborative rather than competitive, and then you can make progress. So use CERN as an example, but that's probably the closest thing we have to a structure that would meet our requirements for artificial intelligence. And I thank you all. That's it for me, Doug.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an excellent discussions, and I request all of our audience, please share our content with the government agency, corporation, and academia. Specifically, with IBION and with all of our innovations, we are heavily deploying this artificial intelligence, wisdom-driven innovations, and so on in emerging economy. And that emerging economy heavily developing their economical sustainability and so on. And 40% global populations live in Asia Pacific. So hopefully through our collaboration, through our partnership, through your contribution, with your knowledge, with your expertise, we can gain extraordinary success, and we can bring global peace through this process. So human wisdom can meet artificial intelligence, and this is very, very important discussions and so on. Thank you, Mr. Rob. Thank you, Mr. David Smith. Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Thank you, Colleen. And thank you, Fred, for your excellent support for World Talent Economic Forum. And that we are launching 6 different conferences in 6 different countries. And you will be really happy with all of the corporations, government agency, corporate, academia, specifically university. They want to welcome you all, like Daffodil International University, Asia Pacific University, like Chittagong Engineering University, like India, Gift City, IIT. Even today I get call from Sri Lanka president office, all of the places they want to welcome you all in the one place and want to meet personally and make a huge business collaborations and so on. That is the things we needed. We need a good partnership, good collaborations, and we need to move together for human progression. That is the things we are doing. Thank you for your excellent support and so on. Thank you. Bye bye and take care.